All right, back again here on the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 42 now. So, this is the first episode back from the Super Bowl, a full 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. Usually I record a big pod right after the Super Bowl, talking about all my thoughts. That's how we get some classics, like the only, I think, podcast I ever put out that doesn't have the title isn't capitalized, it's lowercase, because I was very sad. And I think I just called it, did I call it sad? What did I call it? It was when the Rams beat the Bengals last year, and I was very disappointed. But it's the only one that's not, I just remember not capitalizing it. It kind of bothered me, but I was like, well, it makes it very clear that I'm upset. So I kept it that way. It was dang. That's what it was. Dang. And it's Burrow getting, absolutely destroyed by the pass rush. Poor guy. So yeah, that was last year. Oh, no, I just saw the Sadiq Bey episode. I'm going to start crying. I don't want to look at that. I'm very upset by the fact he's no longer a member of the Detroit Pistons. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last pod, but now that the Pistons have traded away Sadiq Bey, they are no longer winning the finals next year. It ruined their chances. So even though I've said for years that the Pistons would win it in 2024, that's now ruined because if you don't have Sadiq, you're not going to win it. So that's really disappointing, but that's the reality. I mean, they made that move, so I'm very disappointed. There's still some guys I like in the Pistons. I'm still going to be a pretty big Pistons backer because I like Jaden Ivey a lot. I like Cade, Jalen Duren. Even got a soft spot for Marvin Bagley, Killian Hayes. I still got some Killian Hayes stock. Hopefully that, goes up. It's not the best look at the moment. So, still pretty big in the Pistons, but nowhere. It's not. It'll be a little bit till they make up for the fact they traded Sadiq because I really didn't like that move. I'm pretty upset by it. So, I guess Wiseman looked good for them last night, but I love Sadiq. It's tough for me, honestly. It really is. It's hard on me. So, I'll be supporting him in Atlanta, but it's not the same. Probably, I'm not gonna buy an Atlanta uniform of Sadiq. I'm just saying that right now. So. All right. So I guess we'll start with NFL then. I know I hopped over to Sadiq, but that's NBA. But we're going to start with the NFL and the Super Bowl wrap-up, really. So obviously I was kind of disappointed, going into the Super Bowl out of all the matchups that were possible from the conference championships. Eagles-Chiefs was the one I was least interested in. So I was pretty disappointed when that became the Super Bowl. So I really wasn't crazy excited. Obviously, even with the game itself, I didn't have really a ton to say. That's why I didn't record a podcast till now, because I'll get to the main part of this podcast is NBA focused, because I was listening to Bill Simmons' pod, and he was talking about these different NBA teams, and he was doing a segment where him and Ryan Russillo discuss, which teams out of each tier would you want to be and which team would you not want to be. So, for example, out of the worst teams in the league, they said they both agreed they would want to be the Magic, and they both agreed that the worst position to be in out of the worst teams would be the Lakers. And I thought that was interesting, and they kept talking, and eventually I was like, I got a lot to say about the NBA right now, so I might as well record the pod. So that's why I really wanted to record today. I just don't have a ton to say about the Super Bowl. I know it's a big shocker, honestly, because usually I have a lot to say about the Super Bowl. I'm a big NFL guy. I love the Super Bowl especially. I think it's really fun how it's one big game. I really like that because out of the three big major sports, only one of them has a big final game. The NBA Finals is a series. The World Series is obviously a series. The Super Bowl is one game for all the marbles, and I think that's really cool that it's set up that way. It's kind of like with March Madness. It's always fun with the national title and the Final Four and everything. Even the tournament itself, every game is one game, and I think that's cool. So it's fun the way the Super Bowl is this big event. But, this year I was watching it, and I remember. I act like it didn't just happen 2 weeks ago. I was watching it, and it just around halftime, I'm like, okay, just kind of feels like the Eagles got this. And then the fourth quarter came, and I was like, oh, they might lose. And they lost. So that was really it. It didn't really feel, the fourth quarter was very exciting. But to me, it felt like the first half, the Eagles just kind of showed up, had it, they were the better team, and that was that. Third quarter, I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And then fourth quarter, obviously the Chiefs took over the game and ended up winning it in the final minute. So, the final seconds, really, right? Comes down to the last second field goal. The flag very much upset me. But I get, you want to argue that's a hold. I understand. But I was pretty upset by the whole holding call. I think it hurts the game. But in the long run, like, hurts the game, like, you know what I mean, like, legacy-wise, and I look back on it, I'll remember that. But in the long term, we probably will forget, right? I mean, the narrative we've written that the Chiefs, they're very dominant because they got Mahomes, and they went to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years and won 2 of them and went to the AFC Championship every year for, like, they'll probably go to the AFC Championship again next year. So in the long run, we're not going to look back and be like, oh, well, that holding flag. I mean, we rarely even just discuss the Deflategate, and the Deflategate's a way bigger deal than them calling that holding. So, I think in the long run it really won't matter. So that's just the reality. But regardless of all that, let's talk about the Hurts Mahomes thing, right? Because I thought Hurts played just as well as Mahomes, honestly. Like, he stuck with him. Granted, I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, but we can't ignore the fact that Hurts played his butt off. I mean, he played great. Played his absolute tail off. Hurts looked great. He looked like he belonged. The entire Eagles team looked like they belonged. Obviously it was a really close game for a reason. I think both teams matched up against each other well. I enjoyed the Rihanna halftime performance. I'm a big Rihanna guy. A little disappointed she didn't do sex with me, but I get it. Then the other thing is, I guess it's an obvious statement that the Chiefs are going to be around for a while. Like, the Chiefs aren't really going anywhere anytime soon. Yes, Bieniemy just left, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But to me, if I'm Reed, I would think about retiring, right? Like, you've had the health problems before. Obviously, there was the accident that went on with his son. Like, he's had a lot of, I don't know if tragedy is the right word, but, he's had a lot of big things go on, and he's still wanted to coach another year. And I'm like, well, props to him. But, personally, I'd want to go out on top. But I guess in the same sense, is it really that far-fetched to say that within the next 2 to 3 years, Mahomes will win another Super Bowl? Probably not. If they can keep Kelsey and Mahomes, sign some guys, they can pretty much compete every year. Pacheco, drafted him this year from Rutgers. He's freaking killing it. He played great in the Super Bowl. Thought Pacheco looked awesome. So, I just think the Chiefs are definitely going to be around for a while, and we got to get used to it. And I think it's a bad thing that I'm starting to develop a dislike. I used to be a big Mahomes guy, but I think I just like Burrow a lot, and they're kind of rivals, and I'm like, yeah, screw you. I like Burrow better. So it's probably not a good thing that I'm going against liking Mahomes, because if I liked Mahomes, I'd probably have a lot happier nights within the next couple of years, because I think he's going to be good for a long time. Like, his whole career, he's going to be up there. So it'd probably be a little easier on me if I was just like, yeah, I'm a Mahomes back. But, he just kind of, I think Mahomes and I don't know if we've broken up, but we're definitely not. Well, I think we are broken up. It's just, are we on friendly terms or not? I don't know. I don't know about me and Patrick. I'm not sure if we're really on friendly terms. We might not be on good terms. It's a messy breakup. Then the other thing is for the Eagles. You got to hope you're back there, right? Sirianni, and only is, was that a second year? Yeah, it was a second year. Second year as a coach, going to the Super Bowl. That's obviously huge. But can he get back there? The NFC's pretty open, right? It's them and the Niners are obviously the 2 top dogs. Vikings, I don't think anyone's really afraid of. No one's afraid of anyone from the NFC South at the moment, right? So unless my Panthers get Lamar Jackson, which I was going to touch on, that's a very real possibility, right? I hope. Gosh, that'd be so great. I think we're drafting C.J. Stroud, and I'm going to have to be upset. I really don't want Stroud, but I think that's the way it's going. So I trust Reich and his staff. I really like the staff Reich put together. I'm really actually excited for the Panthers' future. I'm just a little worried that future involves C.J. Stroud, and I'm not sure if he's really the right guy for us. But we could get Lamar. I would flip out. I love Lamar. That'd be so great. Lamar might actually be, I don't know if he could be my favorite quarterback. I think it's still Herbert, but still, that'd be huge. I'd love that. So I think the Eagles, you're looking to next year, like, okay, we can run the NFC again. We can win the NFC again. We just got to stay ahead of the Niners, because barring a massive leap from the Lions, which I'm kind of betting on, to be honest, I think the Lions are going to take a big step next year. But I think when you're the Eagles, you're thinking you can definitely be in the mix for the next couple years with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, and you obviously got a strong defense too. Like, on paper, you're probably the better team than the Chiefs, I would argue. So, I mean, is Hurts the fourth best quarterback? Is it Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Hurts? I think there's a real argument of that. I think after the Super Bowl, I honestly would lean that way. So, as far as quarterback carousel goes, quick predictions, I don't think really anything's going to shift up too much until the draft. Like, as far as Rodgers and Lamar and everything, but I'm thinking Rodgers to the Raiders, Lamar to the Jets, Derek Carr to the Saints. It's kind of what I'm tossing around in my mind. But maybe Lamar to my Panthers. But everybody else, like the Texans and the Panthers and the Colts in that scenario, would all draft. Levis to the Colts, Young to the Texans, and Stroud to the Panthers. Lions maybe snag Anthony Richardson. I would love Anthony Richardson. That's actually, I would rather have Anthony Richardson than C.J. Stroud or Will Levis. I don't really want Bryce Young that bad either. Like, I would like for the Panthers to stay at the 9 spot, take Richardson, and let's roll. I'm a big Cam Newton guy. It's the reason I started liking the Panthers. So I would love for that. I just don't think we're going to do that. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's what Reich wants. And that's fine. I mean, I trust Frank Reich. I like the I'm saying, I think Reich's been saying all the right things in interviews for me to like him. So I think he's got a good staff. I think he knows what he's doing. I'm hoping Frank Reich is the Panthers equivalent to Andy Reid. It's quite a broad statement, I realize. It's a really big statement. I'm just like, yeah, the best coach the last 5 years. I think my guy's the next him. Yeah, it's really not that much of a statement I can make casually, but here I am doing it. That's my hope. A guy can dream, right? All right, a couple other things before I switch over to the XFL, because I do want to discuss the XFL real quick, because I have been watching and I've been enjoying it. Eric Bieniemy to Washington. Okay, for those of you that don't follow me on Twitter, I would highly recommend it if you enjoy the podcast to follow me on Twitter at @SortofSportsPod, because the icons of Shake Milton and everything, it's the same stuff. Because I do tweet out some of my takes, and usually they sound like jokes, but half the time they're serious. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexander being better than Ja one was serious. I'm dead serious about that take. We'll get to that later. But the big one was Eric Bieniemy in Washington, right? Going there as the OC. Very clearly in my mind, them grooming him to be the head coach. I think they're going to be out on Rivera and then make him head coach. Or maybe Rivera does really well with Bieniemy as OC and they keep it. I think regardless, Bieniemy is going to be a big force there. I tweeted out Sam Howell MVP, you're loading. I'm kind of kidding. But if you told me next year Sam Howell's absolutely killing it, I don't think I would be incredibly shocked. I mean, I'd be surprised. I would. But I wouldn't be that shocked when you think about it's the same thing as Mahomes. Comes in last few games of the season, looks pretty good, and then boom, the next year an MVP candidate. Well, winner. Mahomes won the MVP, his first full season, his second year. I don't think Sam Howell is the next Mahomes. But could you imagine if he was? Like, he just next year, because of Bieniemy, he just clicks. And I just think it's wild. I mean, they're similar in the point of they're both super athletic prospects. Like, it's not terribly far-fetched. It is far-fetched, I will admit. But I'm just saying, I'm going to definitely draft Sam Howell in a couple fantasy leagues. I got a dynasty league. Probably he's on the waivers. I'm probably going to pick him up because, what if, right? What? I don't want to miss this opportunity. So I just want to keep that in mind for everybody. What if Sam Howell next year is just turning around the Commanders? Because I like the Commies roster. If Chase Young's healthy, you got a great pass rusher there. I mean, their defense needs to step it up. But offensively, they got one of the most underrated players in the league in Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's an amazing receiver. And if Sam Howell can get a connection with him, crap, it's going to be a hell of a duo. On top of the fact that their receiving core is severely underrated. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson is an absolute force. Those three together, I think, are probably top 5 best wide receiver trios. If Sam Howell's really going to be very good, I mean, if Sam Howell's really good, that could be top 3. I mean, who are they really fighting there? The Bengals and probably the Niners, right? It's probably an obvious one I'm forgetting. Maybe the Bills. Well, it's Diggs, Davis. I don't really think there's really a big third. Dawson Knox, but he's not a wide receiver. Regardless, Just keep in mind, maybe Sam Howell's going to pop off. I don't really think it's likely, but what if? I'm just saying, keep that in open mind because that'd be wild. If like the Commanders are saved from Sam Howell, that'd just be crazy. All right, last thing. Let's do a way too early Super Bowl 58 prediction in Las Vegas, baby. And I'm going to take Bengals winning the Super Bowl over the Detroit Lions. Because why not? I mean, it's way too early anyway. It'd be crazy if I picked this right. I honestly do believe the Bengals are going to win it soon, so I'm picking them. And then on top of the fact that in the NFC, picking the Niners and the Eagles is really boring. So I didn't want to pick one of those two. So I picked the team that I like and I think can take a big step next year, and I got a great coach, and they looked great at the end of this year, and that's the Lions. Why not? Why not the Lions? So there we go. Bengals over Lions. I would flip out if that was a Super Bowl. That'd be so much fun. Crap, that'd be great. So yeah, that's my Super Bowl 58 prediction. All right, XFL time. Just a quick thing. If you're not watching XFL, I do recommend watching it. It's fun. They got some different rules, and I've been enjoying it. My team's the Sea Dragons, currently 0-2. Very disappointing. Maybe I should have went Battlehawks, though, because A.J. McCarron is on that XFL MVP grind. So that's pretty fun to watch. He had a clutch drive against my Sea Dragons on Thursday night to win the Battlehawks a game on a last-second field goal. And that was really exciting. So, yeah, if you're not watching the XFL, I honestly would recommend it. Just try it, see what you think. Pick your team, because it's fun when you have no concept of really anybody. Like, you know, there's no history to, like, any team. You might as well just pick one. And I picked Sea Dragons because I thought they had some goofy uniforms. I thought it was kind of fun. And we're 0-2. So, even when I have nothing to go off of, I still end up picking bad teams. I guess in the NBA, my teams are finally clicking. Like, Cavs are good. My Bucks are excellent. Like, my Cavs and Bucks are both finals contenders. My Pistons are bottom of the barrel. But for football, it's maybe Reich's going to be our Reed. That's my hope. Reich is our Andy Reid. All right, quick thing about MLB. Just wanted to say it's starting up, spring training, pitch clock. Not really sure how I feel yet. I kind of like the slower pace of baseball, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows I'm a huge MLB guy. Super excited for the season. And I can't wait to do the predictions pod and not pick the White Sox this year. Be the first time in the history of this podcast that I don't pick the White Sox. So that's because I've only been doing this podcast for 2 years. We're on our third. This will be my third MLB predictions pod, and it'll be the first one I don't pick the White Sox. So, growth, ladies and gentlemen. You've witnessed my growth as a person over the last years. So it's exciting for you and me. Moving on from the White Sox. They did me dirty. We're not on good terms. Broke up with the White Sox on terrible terms. Still love you, Tim Anderson. Still love you, Luis Robert or Robert. They're always changing up on me. I think I love the Marlins more. Honestly, if you said pick your favorite team in baseball, it's Padres, Marlins, Mets are probably my three. But if you said, like, you have to like one team in baseball, like you have to pick your one team, I guess I'd probably go Padres. I should say. I'm not going to try to argue and say I'd probably pick the Marlins because then I'd just be stuck with a team I know is not very good, but I love them. And I don't even really like their gear. I think their gear's not really the strongest. I mean, their retro stuff is immaculate. I love their retro gear. And I like their City Connect hat. I'm going to buy that, the blue and the red, the bright one. I love Jazz Chisholm. I can't wait for him to move to outfield and win the Gold Glove, baby. Let's go. He wants to win the Gold Glove. Let's go. Love Jazz. And then Sandy Alcantara, I mean, my favorite pitcher in the game. Love Sandy. Super excited. So the Marlins really fun, but they just have no hitting. I mean, Jazz is like our only good hitter. So, like, one I really like. And even he's not insane, like an insane bat. So, like, he's no Juan Soto, but granted, who is? So I guess if you said pick a favorite team for baseball, I probably would pick Padres. I do love the Mets, but the Padres have Soto, and he's my favorite. So I can't decide if I'm really done with Tatis, because I liked him for so long, and he was my guy. So long, yeah. 2 years. Well, I'm saying it felt like I liked him a while, and then the PEDs thing really put a dampener on it. I mean, I always liked Soto, so I think Soto is my favorite now. And I mean, if I like Julio Rodriguez, then I'm just flat out saying, yes, I'm picking the next. It's like, yeah, everybody said Tatis is the next Ken Griffey. So I like, and I like Tatis. And then if I start liking Julio Rodriguez, it's very apparent I'm just looking for that next Ken Griffey Jr. I do like Julio Rodriguez a lot, though. So I did pick him to win Rookie of the Year, too, and he did. Picked him at the beginning of the season. Should have put some money on it, right? Except Ohio gambling laws. They made it 21. I'm really disappointed. If Mike DeWine listens to this podcast, he should really change it up for me. Willing to bet he doesn't. There's a bet that would definitely cash for me, regardless of my age. Get it? You get it? Come on, guys. Maybe I should start putting laugh tracks in the back of the podcast to make myself feel better about my jokes. That would be a whole new level of satire. I don't think I'm going to do that. All right, NBA time. Here we go. This is what I was really excited to do. I'm pretty sure I have something to say about every NBA team. So we're going to do something. We're not doing the most watchables. I didn't really feel like doing that. I felt like doing this. I think I'm going to dub this. It's not really mid-season checkups because we're already over halfway through the season. And I didn't even do my all-star team. I usually do. I'm slacking. That Super Bowl, the Super Bowl not that interesting to me, I think really hurt me. I didn't record a podcast for like 2 weeks because I was just kind of disappointed by the fact that the Chiefs won. And I really, when they won, I just turned the TV off and I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, I'm really disappointed. I can't even lie. And like when the Rams won, I was like, dang it. But it was like this empire of evil beat me. And I was like, I had something to say about how I was crushed. Whereas when the Chiefs won, I was just like, oh, well, okay. I didn't really have any passion behind the Eagles. I've started to develop, I really liked Burrow and the Bengals, and Mahomes is amazing. I think he's the best player in the league. I think he's going to go down as the second greatest quarterback of all time. I honestly think that's his career trajectory, is to be second to Brady. But I think I developed, I don't want to say a hatred. I don't hate the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. So I guess I'd rather have a full-blown hatred than a mild disappointment. Because the full-blown hatred makes me want to record and, explain how upset I am. Whereas mild disappointment, I'm just like, oh, well, now I feel nothing. So I guess I missed my All-Star podcast because I was too busy being upset. So, or not upset, just feeling empty. So I was really, my podcast, I knew I had to discuss the Super Bowl and I just didn't want to do it. So I think I didn't really realize till right now. I didn't realize that I was going to have a mini sports therapy session for myself, but there it was. Apparently the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl really hurt me as a sports fan for a little bit. And I'm coming back out of it because the NBA has been excellent lately. We had a great weekend of Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox having 40 points each, and then the Jason Tatum game winner over the Sixers last night. It's been entertaining. My boy Adam Silver. We're having another Hood Classic season. 3 straight Hood Classics NBA seasons. And for a fact, this one's going to end with the Bucks finals. As it should. Mwah. Perfect. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of ruining my point for later, but yeah, you guys know I'm picking the Bucks to win the finals. Come on. All right, so let's do a checkup on all 30 NBA teams. We're going to start, I think we'll do the 15 from the East, the 15 from the West, and we'll go back and forth. So let's do 15 from the West first. So the Houston Rockets right now currently have the worst record in the NBA at 13-46. Things are obviously not looking good for them. And I think my thoughts really here for the Rockets is you're obviously looking for the Wembanyama sweepstakes. I think a lot of these teams at the bottom are looking towards, trying to get Victor. And for good reason. We always say this, but he's the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James. And for good reason. Holy crap. If you haven't seen Wembanyama footage, you're missing out. It is the Shawshank Redemption of rookie film. It's amazing. He's so good. I wasn't even born, for all the LeBron hype. So the Wembanyama hype is the biggest hype I've ever experienced. Because the biggest hype I had experienced when I was younger was the Wiggins hype. And then it was the Lonzo Ball hype. And then it was the Zion hype. And now it's the Wembanyama. And every time it's gotten bigger. The Wiggins was smaller hype than the Lonzo. And the Lonzo hype was less than the Zion. And the Wembanyama hype is the biggest hype I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I think they're saying he might be 7'5" now. Like, I really hope his nickname sticks, the Alien. I like that as his nickname. I can't remember where I saw that. Might have been the Ringer. But I think that should stick. So, if you're the Rockets and you're thinking, okay, we're going to get Wembanyama, then you're doing pretty well. I'm not sure exactly where he fits in this roster, truth be told. Because, like, I guess what you're thinking is you're going to have Jalen Green, Jabari, Wembanyama. So it's like you got a big forward and Jabari. You got a good guard in Jalen. And then you got Wembanyama holding it down at center. I think that could work. But really, my thoughts here on the Rockets is Jalen Green. I think right now you just need to focus all your efforts into how good can he be for you. Is he, there are some comparisons when he was in college to Ja Morant. Is he going to hit that level? I mean, he's not hitting the heights. In his rookie season, Jalen Green did not hit the heights that Ja Morant hit. Jalen Green did have a good run at the end of his rookie year, though, where he started to look really good. I mean, Jalen, near the end of last year, there was a little bit of chatter about him. Obviously, we knew he wasn't going to win Rookie of the Year over, Mobley or Scott. I mean, still can't believe to this day Scotty Barnes won it, I'm going to be honest. I don't know how it didn't go to Mobley, but Mobley or Scotty or Cade, but there were some rumblings like, hey, Jalen Green is looking good finally. And as a guy who said that Jalen Green probably should go over Cade, I was wrong. But Green's doing really well. I don't think the Rockets are looking back, kicking themselves too harshly over picking him over Mobley. I think you'd rather have Mobley. But I think right now when you're the Rockets, your biggest focus is, look, we're not good. And do we get Scoot Henderson and roll with him? And how does that work for us? I think that's what you're doing when you're the Rockets at the moment, is you're looking at, okay, if we get Wembanyama, does he fit here? If we get Scoot Henderson, does he fit here? And some of the other guys, I mean, obviously this draft isn't just Scoot and Wembanyama. I mean, that's the way it kind of looks to me, though, because it's like those are the two. I mean, like I said, the Victor Wembanyama hype pretty much eclipses everyone, except for the fact that Scoot Henderson is super good, too. But, it's really, when it comes to the draft, that's like the two players everybody talks about. So the top two picks are really, really valuable this year because I think Scoot, I mean, don't sleep on Scoot. Scoot ain't no slouch. He's not Slouch Henderson. He's Scoot Henderson. Dang it. So, if you're the Rockets and you got Scoot Henderson, you're sitting pretty. So I guess that's my biggest thing is you figure out if Jalen Green is going to be your second best player on your team or if he's that guy, you need to build around him. That's what you're looking at when you're the Rockets. I don't want to talk about the Pistons. I don't want to talk about them. I think they're making good front office moves, but they're 15-46. They're so bad. And maybe they get Wembanyama, and they absolutely cook next year, and I'm so happy. But I don't think we're on that trajectory. I think we're going to draft like the 4 or 5 spot, and I'll be honest, I don't have the strongest concept of who's going to be there for this draft. Like, to me, it's a 2-person draft in my mind, too. Like, I know there's more guys, and they're probably, years down the line, I'll be like, oh, this guy that I love and I talk about all the time on the podcast, he was drafted in that 2023 draft. I barely even knew who he was. I guarantee it's going to happen. But regardless, I mean, you'll be listening to the Sort of Sports podcast 5 years down the line, and they'll be like, the next Shake Milton was in the 2023 draft. Granted, the next Shake Milton probably won't be around for the next 50 years, but a man can dream. As we established earlier, a man can dream. Me and Lamar coming to my Panthers. I did DM him on Twitter, and I said, hey, you'd really cook it on the Jets. And then I sent another message that said, I'm a Panthers fan, by the way, but I know I'm not lucky enough to have you. Maybe he took that to heart. He never answered, but maybe he took that to heart. Who knows? Regardless, yeah, it's funny. I said, I have something to say about every NBA team, and then I come here to the Pistons. Like, I don't want to say anything. I guess the Pistons, you might as well start looking into the offseason. You're keeping Dwayne Casey. Are you trying to compete next year? I mean, you have a lot of cap space. I would like to start competing. We get a young core. I mean, my Cavs, on the other end, took a big swing. We were in the play-in last year. We lose. Don't even technically make the playoffs. but we take a big swing on Donovan Mitchell, and it's paid dividends for us. I mean, we're looking to be a finals contender this year. I mean, we're probably out of the East. I think you would say the top 4 teams are all contenders, but you're more confident in the Bucks and Celtics than you are the Sixers and Cavs. But we're in the conversation for being in the finals. I think there's a small chance we win it, right? Whereas next year the Cavs are looking to be like a legit, like, okay, we're the 1 or 2 seed in the conference going to win the finals. Like, the Cavs are looking to compete for the championship for the next 2 to 3 years. Really, as long as Donovan Mitchell wants to stay, right? Garland's going to be there as long as he wants to be, hopefully his career. Mobley, I mean, he's going to go down as like one of the best Cavs players ever. I think Mobley's that guy. I love Evan Mobley. I think he's the guy we're building around. Him and Darius are the duo. And then Jarrett should be there forever. I love Jarrett Allen. So you got those 3 guys. And then I don't really think Okoro's going to leave. I wouldn't see that happening either. And then if Donovan wants to stick around, your whole starting lineup's there. I don't know how that works money-wise. Okoro's going to have to not take a ton of money. Jarrett's going to have to take a pay cut at some point. But I mean, it's such a good starting lineup, and we have depth right now. And so I think for the next 3 years, the Cavs are going to contend. I know I'm supposed to be talking about the Pistons, talking about the Cavs. It's because I care about them both a lot. But I'm saying, look at what happens when you get young players, you can try to compete, and then you take a big swing. And I just don't see the Pistons trying to compete and take a big swing. They're too content just sitting in the bottom of the league doing nothing. And it's really, really upsetting. And I don't like it. So, yeah, I'm just saying, like, let's get moving. I know Cade's hurt. I get it. This year's a wash. But next year, you need to start freaking competing. It has to happen. Like, I'm sick of the Pistons being a bottom-of-the-barrel team. They're supposed to win the finals next year, but they traded away Sadiq Bey, which ruins that. I think trading away Sadiq, I get you got James Wiseman. He'll probably play well for us, but I like Duren better than him, and he's taking minutes away from Duren. So then there's that. I'm not very happy with the Pistons, to be honest. Troy Weaver, I'm a big fan of yours. Praised you a lot in the past. I don't know why the hell you traded Sadiq. Pretty upset by that. Not going to lie to you. Very upset with you, Troy. So if Dwayne Casey doesn't want to compete with this team, you can just fire him tomorrow. I mean, I want to try to start competing next year. I understand this year we're not going to compete. That's fine. But next year, when Cade's back, and you got Jaden Ivey. I mean, I love Jaden Ivey. He is my favorite player in the Pistons now. You got Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren. You still got Beef Stew. Need to start competing. So that's the thing with the Pistons. That's my checkup. Is this year's a wash. You need to start competing for next year. If you get lucky on Wembanyama, holy crap. I mean, Troy Weaver must say a lot of prayers, and Troy Weaver must have it in good with the lottery ball odds or whatever. I mean, if they get the 1 pick. I don't think they're going to. All right, let's go to the Spurs. I feel like, I don't know. I just got a feeling the Spurs get the 1 pick and get Wembanyama. I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to happen. That's kind of my checkup here. They have the worst offense in the league. They can't score to save their lives. The only reason Popovich will be sticking around here is because he thinks they're going to get Wembanyama, and he wants to build around him. And to be honest, I just feel like sometimes fate is fate, and it's Popovich is going to get his career with Tim Duncan, one of the greatest power forwards of all time. He's one of the greatest big men of all time, right? Probably, no, I'd say Duncan is the best power forward of all time. I take it back. I'm like, who's better? And there's nobody. It's like Dirk, Garnett, Malone, Giannis. I think Giannis is up there already, right? I think the only guy who's got a chance at beating Dirk is not Dirk. I think Giannis, if Giannis gets another ring, he becomes the second best power forward of all time. I'd put him above Malone and Dirk. If Giannis gets 3 or 4, we can put him over Duncan. And I think Giannis then goes down as the greatest power forward of all time. But right now it's Duncan. So I think it'd be pretty freaking cool if Popovich got Duncan and then he ends his career with the first 2 or 3 years of Wembanyama, who, I mean, we all think is going to be really special. So I really hope that happens, and that's really my checkup there, is that the offense is abysmal, and they're very bad. And I don't have a lot of good things to say about the Spurs, other than the fact that I really didn't like Jeremy Sochan in college, and I kind of like him now that he's in the league. I think he's kind of a solid player for them. So that's it. I feel like he'd fit really well in like like a playoff team, like he would fit really well on like the Suns, just coming off the bench, Jeremy Sochan. Like that's the type of guy he is. He doesn't really fit on like a rebuilding team like the Spurs. Like he'd be perfect to just be tossed on the Bucks. But there's no way they're going to go out and get him. But I'm just saying. All right, 14 in the East. The Hornets, 19-43, same record as the Spurs, right? No, Spurs are 14-47. Gosh, when you're the Hornets, right? I mean, all these teams are just praying for Wembanyama. If you're the Hornets, you get Scoot. That's exciting too. You got LaMelo, right? You got LaMelo Ball. That's great for you. You have your guy that is going to lead your team for the future. And you've got some decent players that I like. I like Washington. And it's really upsetting that James Bouknight. Why did I just. Yeah, James Bouknight. Yeah, I would think about it. It's really upsetting that James Bouknight is not as impressive as we all kind of thought he'd be. Me included. We all thought, me included. Yes, a lot of people thought he'd be, me included. That's the way I meant to say it. I mean, he's not amazing. So that's disappointing. They do have Mark Williams, and I think he has been pretty good for them. I like what he's doing. I mean, where was he from? Wasn't he from Duke? Yeah, he's from Duke. He's been playing better for them. I think that's good. I mean, it's just weird at the Hornets. It felt like LaMelo's rookie year. They change up the uniforms. They get like some of the sickest uniforms in the league. Those jerseys are – they have some nice threads. I mean, the Hornets gear is sick. They went from some of the worst gear to some of the best. And they were like super fun, and they were made the playoffs. I was like, man, the Hornets in a couple years, they could really be something. And here, back-to-back years. Well, I guess last year they were in the plan, right? I think last year they were in the plan. But this year, it's just nothing's coming together. And I do think it hurts, obviously, the Miles Bridges situation. You can't see that coming, and there's no way of getting value out of that. So that's something out of your control, and I get that. But I just think it's funny that in 1 year and one draft pick, within 1 year and one draft, the Magic just completely leaped the Hornets and said, no, we're the fun young team. That's, in a couple years is going to be good. I want to talk about the Magic here in a moment, but I'm saying, like, the Hornets were like, oh, they got LaMelo, and Washington's good, and Bridges fits well there. And, Terry Rozier's always been fun. Like, they got this fun young team, and you're like, okay. This is like, I'm talking about like 2021, we're thinking this, LaMelo's rookie year. It's like, okay, maybe around like 2023, 2024, they start being like a little frisky, and then like 2025, 2026, they're like a finals contender, right? But no. They're at the bottom of the league. LaMelo's third year. I mean, everything can change around, right? I mean, the Cavs, we were pretty bad not pretty bad. We were bad until we got Mobley last year. Last year was the first year I was like, oh, shoot. My Cavs are doing something. So, maybe they get somebody this year that's not Wembanyama or Scoot. Because, like, maybe they get Wembanyama or Scoot and really turn things around. But, I mean, I know there's obviously other guys to draft. So I'm going to have to step up my drafting game. Usually I know all the guys. I mean, this year I don't have as good of a concept because I'm saying all the draft stuff you read is so Victor Wembanyama focused. And if it's not about him, it's about Scoot. So maybe they can get somebody and pick it up. But I think when you're the Hornets right now, your biggest goal is figuring out how do you take this team to being a frisky team? Because that's like the steps. I mean, I don't think you're just going to jump into being a contender like the Grizzlies did. The Grizzlies just in 1 year went like, well, yeah, we're kind of on the edge. I mean, we're like a 7-8 to boom. We're like a finals contender last year. I don't know if the Hornets can do that next year. Maybe it's in the cards. I'd love to see it. I think they're a really fun team, but they're quite disappointing at the moment. All right, West. Lakers. Woo! This is a fun one to talk about. I'm so glad the Lakers are bad. I am so very happy the Lakers are bad. I think at the beginning of the year, I predicted them to be bad, which makes it all the better. Because I like it when I predicted them to be bad. And they are. Yeah, I had them at the 10 spot. They're even worse than that. Let's go. I'm so glad they're bad. I think it's funny that LeBron James broke the record and they still lost. That was hilarious. I'm glad the Lakers are bad. I think the D'Angelo Russell trade is actually an excellent trade. I'm not going to lie. As a guy who watches Winning Time, I know who Jeannie Buss is. She did a great job. Winning Time is excellent, by the way. I only watched the first 2 episodes. I'll probably finish it because Outer Banks Season 3 came out this week, so I'm going to watch all that. Because, like, all my friends watch Outer Banks, and even though Season 2 is disappointing, I want to see what I think about Season 3. And so I watched Season 3 of that, and then, I'll probably finish Winning Time. Because by the end of the year, I should have Breaking Bad finished, Winning Time finished, The Boys finished, like all 3 seasons of The Boys. So then, the TV awards this year will be a lot more of a knockout brawl this year than it was last year. Last year was pretty simple, even though I should have given Invincible Best Show of the Year, regardless. Best show I watched all year. This year, the Sort of Sporty's television. I'm trying to step it up. I started Snowfall. I like it. So, trying to step up the TV end because I need to watch more television because there's a lot of good shows that I'm interested in. It's just easier for me to sit down and watch a movie. But I'm saying, I'm trying to step up my game because there are some shows I really like. Like, I really like Breaking Bad, and I know I'm going to like Better Call Saul, and I really like The Boys. So, and Lockwood & Co. looks interesting. I read some of those books when I was younger, so I'll probably watch that. I don't see Outer Banks Season 3 winning. I don't think Outer Banks Season 3 is going to be better than Season 4 or Season 5 of Breaking Bad or Season 1 of Winning Time. I really like Winning Time. Oh, I also started White Lotus. I think I mentioned that. I like White Lotus too. So, yeah, I'm trying to watch more shows because, like, White Lotus especially is really good and it's really interesting. So, okay, got really off topic for a moment. Yeah, the Lakers. So, the Lakers are trying to make a run back in. In their last 10, they're 5-5. But since getting D'Angelo Russell, they're 3-1. And they're going to play the Mavericks in like an hour. And they're going to lose. But I get to watch Kyrie Irving and Luka play together, so that'll be entertaining for me. The thing is with the Lakers is I don't see it in the cards. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think if they make the plan, they lose to like the Warriors or the Timberwolves, and that's that. I don't. Well, the Pelicans. I feel like that's most realistic, right? The Pelicans. They're not good. I think D'Angelo Russell I really like D'Angelo Russell. I think he's a good player. I think he's a great fit there, honestly. Thought it was a really smart move. I like Rui Hachimura there. I think that was a good move. But they're not going to win the finals. And if they make the plan, they'll be out pretty quick. So I don't really have a lot to say other than when you're the Lakers now, you start looking at your team, you're like, okay, we're going to try to be, at least in the plan, so our pick that the Pelicans own isn't completely embarrassing. But I don't know what you do when you're the Lakers. It's like you're not going to get rid of LeBron or anything. Like, I guess you say to LeBron, look, your son's going to be up for the draft at the end of next year. What do you want us to do? You want us to be bad enough to get him? Or do you want out? Because I think right now, Bronny's projected to go like 10 in next year's draft. If you're the Lakers, you're like, look, Bron, we're probably not going to make it again the playoffs again next year. Are you cool with just not being very good and rocking with a not very good team and AD's getting injured half the time and you're just wasting away for a year so then we can take your son like 10 picks too early? Like, they get like the 4 pick and then, take Bronny even though he should go at like 12. I don't even think, do they have their pick for next year? I don't even know if they do. I don't even think that works. Yeah, when you're the Lakers, like, I guess you need to have a talk with LeBron and be like, what do you want the direction of this team to be? And I know it's sad that your whole franchise is run by one player, but that's the way they set themselves up. I don't know what the Lakers really do. Like, they've just been LeBron, that's LeBron's team. And until he retires or leaves the team, they're run by him. And they're kind of screwed for when he does leave. They don't have any young prospects going to start playing well. They don't have anybody to hand the team off to. Like, they're not going to be good. I mean, they're not good now. They're going to be even worse when LeBron decides to leave or retire. So, I don't see LeBron retiring. I think he's pretty set on playing with Bronny for at least a year. And I don't really think he cares what that is because when I'm him, I'm not like, oh, I need to retire a Laker. Do you? That's what I wonder is who does LeBron want to be remembered as? Like, I don't think we're going to, like, when you picture, like, LeBron, okay, here we go. So in the MLB Hall of Fame, the players have to pick what team they want to appear as their hat, right? So if I'm, for example, perfect one would be Freddie Freeman, right? Freddie Freeman retired tomorrow. I'm borderline 100% sure Freddie Freeman would say Braves. He'd want Braves on his hat, even though they booed him, severely. He is most well known as a Braves guy, right? David Ortiz, that's actually a much better example. David Ortiz obviously didn't play his career for the Red Sox. He played for other teams, but he retired on the Red Sox, and he's most well known as a Red Sox player. So on his MLB Hall of Fame bust, it's him with a Red Sox hat on. Ken Griffey Jr. obviously didn't retire. I think maybe he retired with the Mariners. Like he might have signed like a small contract. I don't know. I don't think he did. Obviously, Ken Griffey Jr. didn't always play for the Mariners. He played for the Reds for a long time, played for a couple different teams. But when he retired, his Hall of Fame bust has the Mariners hat on because that's what he's most well known for. That's like his most iconic look. When you're LeBron, if the NBA had an equivalent to that, would he pick the Lakers? Like, in his mind, is he a Laker? Is that like who he is? Because I would say I would naturally think Cavs, right? He was there for the most seasons, and he's got his most important finals with the Cavs. He was drafted by the Cavs. The whole Cleveland thing, he's from Ohio, from Akron. But maybe he thinks he's a Laker. Like, maybe that's what he truly believes is, like, his team. Like, he's remembered as a Laker. Which is so odd because, like, the Lakers fans, I don't know a ton of Lakers fans. All Lakers fans I know are LeBron fans that flip to the Lakers. But I think if you're a true blue Lakers fan, well, I guess a true yellow Lakers fan, true blue, I mean, that'd be real impressive. You're back from Minneapolis Lakers, true blue. If you're a true Lakers fan, like a diehard, you're never going to put LeBron above Kobe. But I'm not saying, like, that's what LeBron wanted, but I'm saying you're not even going to put him in the same air. Like, Kobe is your GOAT if you're a Lakers guy. Like, he is your guy. Maybe you're an older Lakers fan, you're like, yeah, Magic too. But if you're a diehard Lakers fan, chances are your like favorite guy, or in your mind your favorite Laker, or who you believe is the best Laker ever, is Kobe. Definitively, no one comes close. Maybe Magic has an argument, but that's it. And you're never going to put LeBron in the same air. Got one ring, yeah, he got the scoring title with you, but that's a career achievement. That wasn't just a Lakers thing. And it's like, what did he really do for you other than winning that one ring, right? Like, he just tore you up, so then for 3 or 4 years you had to tank and had nothing? Because that's how it's going to be whenever he leaves. I'm saying if LeBron, let's say Bronny James is drafted to like the Hawks, and LeBron goes and plays in Atlanta for a year of Bronny. It's just so odd. I think it's just not, I don't know what, like when you're the Lakers, you're kind of screwed. Because you built yourself to be the LeBron James machine. And the thing is, the LeBron James machine is kind of slowing down. Yes, you got the scoring title, but you're not competing for championships every year just because you have LeBron now. Yeah, you have AD. Day-to-day Davis, the best nickname. So, I guess I don't really know what else to say. Like, that's it. Just like, if you're the Lakers, I'm sorry. Because LeBron's going to leave you forever Bronny goes, or you're going to be the team that drafts Bronny probably higher than he should be taken just because that's what LeBron wants. You're just the LeBron James retirement tour team at this point. I honestly don't think LeBron's going to retire. Not retire, like suddenly retire. Like LeBron's the type of guy to be like, this was my last year, so then he can announce it so everybody can have like a big ceremony every time he goes to every stadium. He's very much that type of guy. So I could definitely see LeBron doing that, where he makes it a big old deal, his retirement. So I don't think he's going to retire next year. I don't think he's going to retire the year after that. I think he's probably going to, he might retire a year after that. I think we might have 2 more years. So next year doesn't really matter, and then he has the 1 year of his son, then he's done. I'm just glad. I don't really think it's possible for the Lakers to get Wembanyama. And that's a very good thing. Eastern Conference. The Magic. I'm excited to talk about the Magic. I just tweeted out today. I said, is it a hot take that if I say I think Paolo Banchero is at some point going to be a top 10 player and maybe even top 5? Like, I think Paolo's that guy. I mean, I was on record saying he should be the number 1 pick, thought he was going to be really good. A friend of mine was like, oh, he's not going to be that good in the league. And I was like, what are you not seeing? To me, he's a perfect number 1 pick. Like, he's exactly what I would want if I'm taking the number 1 pick. Kind of like Cade, right? Like, Cade Cunningham is exactly the type of guy you want to have at the number 1 pick. He's exactly the type of player you'd want to be able to take. He's very athletic. He can run an offense. He's got a jumper. I mean, he's like a big guard. That's exactly what you'd want in Cade Cunningham. Paolo's another one of those guys, exactly what you want, the number one pick. Uber athletic, can get to the hoop, forward, has defensive potential. You need to work on his jumper, but you know it can come in. Very confident player. And, I mean, him and Franz on the Magic, it's a great duo. Really like them together. The Magic, like I said before, they leaped the Hornets. They took the spot of, oh, yeah, we're young and fun, and in a couple years, we're going to be good. And Paolo's the guy. That's who they're building around. And Markelle Fultz, we can't take away the fact Markelle, obviously he's nowhere near where we thought he'd be, but he's playing well for them. And I'm like, Paolo, I think Paolo has a chance to be an MVP level guy. I'm going to say that right now. He's going to win Rookie of the Year this year. That's a done deal. I think he has a chance to be an MVP level player. I don't know if he's on the level of Jokic or Giannis, who are, in my opinion, the two best players in the league. Maybe an Embiid level, because I think Embiid is probably top 5. I mean, Embiid has to be top 5 right now. What am I talking about? I'm flat out being a troll if I say Embiid's not top 5. Embiid is top 5. Honestly, right now, best players in the league probably go Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Embiid. To be perfectly honest. Especially if Curry out, that's probably top 4. So, is it Tatum 5 with Curry? Like, we're not counting Curry because he's injured. We're not counting KD because he's injured. Is it Tatum 5? Even though I'm not a big Tatum guy, probably. Probably, right? Regardless of the fact of all this, when you're the Magic, I'm super happy because Paolo's panned out perfectly, and you got a guy that I honestly do think can compete for MVPs and be, I think, potentially the best player on a championship team. I think Paolo can be that guy. You put him and you're building a good core around him with Franz Wagner, and I think Suggs can maybe become something. Obviously, he's not going to be. I don't know if he's going to be able to hit the heights we had when he was drafted. I think a lot of people, me included, were excited about him. He's nowhere near, I think, what I had hopes for. But Markelle, Isaac's been playing better. I like Jonathan Isaac. So I think it's a fun team. I think they got a lot of potential. I think they get a good pick this year. They could be in the play-in next year. Then the year after that, they're like a 5 spot. Or maybe they take a big leap in 2025, and they're like competing for the finals. I'm saying right now, I'm buying Magic stock right now. I'm saying a lot of people buy Pelican stock. I am more high on the Magic's next 5 years than I am for the Pelicans, which I know is probably a supremely hot take because Grand Theft Alvarado's great, and Brandon Ingram's great, and Zion is great when he's healthy. But I'm going to say right now, I would prefer the Magic's next 5 years over the Pelicans, which probably isn't a good take being as the Bucks are going to exist. And if Giannis is in the East, he's always going to be a threat. But that's my take. I think the Magic are really starting to build something special. So I keep an eye on them. All right, in the West, the Trailblazers. I don't think Damian's going to leave. I think he's here. And if he does leave, it's going to be some nothing chip where it's him as the 4th or 5th best player. And I don't see a scenario where the Blazers compete for the finals in the next 5 years, which is really all you probably got left out of Dame being a prime Dame. And that's still a lot of time. Like, when I think about it, like, I'm giving him a big window saying he's going to be really good for the next 5 years. I mean, he's been one of the best point guards in the league since, 2016? 15? Right? I think around 2015 is when we're starting to be like, man, Damian Lillard's one of the best guards. And then we all get reminded that again in 2019. Like, the whole, like, Dame time, him being at, like, the height of his powers was, like, 2019, 2020 era. That was, like, everybody was like, yeah, he's the second best guard behind Curry. And, I mean, Dame is still that guy. He's still an incredible player. But I just don't. He's not going to leave. And that's major props to him. But I don't think the Blazers as an organization are going to be able to put together that 2011 Mavericks team for him. Like his Dirk Nowitzki, I got my one ring, but it's more special than hardly anybody else has a ring. Like, more special than most guys' rings is a better way to word that. I worded that really weirdly. I got one ring, but it means more than most guys' 5 rings, right? Okay, anybody who has 5 rings, it's impressive. But you know what I mean? Like, Dirk Nowitzki has one ring. It is more important to him than any of the Warriors rings that aren't the 2022 finals. Even the 2022 finals, the Dirk one's still more impressive because he's going against the LeBron James Heat. Like that Dirk finals, it is hard to find a finals that's more meaningful than that. I think the 2019 Kawhi one has an argument. And it's not for, like, it's different reasoning. It's not a loyalty thing. It's just like yeah, I'm that dude reasoning. Where it's like Kawhi just showed up and was like, in one single playoff, just was like, yeah, I'm the best player in the league. Like, there was hardly anybody doubted in the 2020 offseason that Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the league. Like, everybody thought that. So, yeah, I don't think the Blazers are going to be doing. I mean, they traded away Josh Hart, and I like Josh Hart there. I don't think Cam Reddish is really an upgrade for him. So, gosh, I think I'm just a little disappointed in the Blazers because I really wanted to see something. I want to see Dame get that ring, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to retire as one of the greats without a ring. It's a real shame. Oh, there's a fun team, the Pacers. Man, the East is fun right now. The Pacers are fun because they got Tyrese Halliburton, and he's excellent. And I think if the Kings weren't so good this year, I think Kings fans would be a lot more mad at the fact they traded away Tyrese because he's so good. And I like Benedict Mathurin. I mean, everybody knows I was high on him. I was happy if the Pistons got him or Ivy. And they went for Ivy, and I'm really happy with that. But Mathurin's great. I think the duo of him and Tyrese is fun. And overall, the Pacers as a team, they just got decent depth. And Turner's, still kind of odd there. But, I mean, it feels like he's been supposed to have been traded, for the last 3 years. It's been like, oh, Miles Turner's going to be traded. And then he never is. I mean, this year, I don't think there was as much chatter. So good for him. But I think if you're the Pacers, you're looking at this draft, and you're like, okay, there is a decent shot we get Wembanyama. Because, that 4 or 5 spot for, like, 4th or 5th best record is actually sometimes, I think they actually have a better odds at getting the number 1 than they made it. So if you're like the worst record, you actually don't have the best odds to discourage teams away from tanking because of Sam Hinkie and the trust the process Sixers. Regardless, the Pacers could get Wembanyama, and that team would be awesome. Oh my gosh, that team would be so amazing. But could you imagine if, like, the future of basketball, like this super hyped up guy goes to the Pacers? Like, Adam Silver would be crying. He's like, no, Indiana, that market, like, listen, the Pacers are fun, but, like, think about, I mean, I guess the Detroit market ain't much better. Yeah. I know Wembanyama keeps coming up, but, I mean, he is the massive shadow looming over every team not making the playoffs. Where it's, if I get this number 1 pick, I know who I'm taking, and if I have a good enough roster, we can compete for the playoffs next year is our hope. Like, I think my belief in Wembanyama is that he's going to show up day 1 and be ready to go. Like, he's going to be that level of player. That he's going to be one of those really special rookies that his team, is in the playoffs his rookie year. Everybody's been hyping him up so much that's what I believe. If he's really that good, that's what should happen. Is he should be able to walk on. If he's on the Pacers, he should be able to walk up, and next year they're in the playoffs. Not like maybe they're in the play-in as in they're a 7-8, but they should not be like not within the top 8 in the conference if Wembanyama goes to your team. If he's really that good. That'd be scary if he went to the Pacers. Like, that'd be Halliburton, him, and Mathurin. That'd be fun because Halliburton's so good. Oh, my gosh. Halliburton's so good. I wasn't the highest on him in the past. But now that he's on the Pacers, I'm like, yeah, this guy's the man. He's great. But even if you don't get Wembanyama and you're the Pacers, I think what you're looking at is you got Halliburton, Mathurin. I think, honestly, I think maybe you take a swing where you're the next guy that's available, whether that's Bradley Beal, whether that's, I'm trying to think who else is going to be available anytime soon. Karl-Anthony Towns. If any of those guys become available, the next big superstar to be available, because pretty much every year there's a couple, like every offseason, there's a couple guys available, whether it's through free agency or trades. And then, I mean, we've seen at the trade deadline last couple of years, there's like a big guy. I mean, the NBA is really fun right now because things are constantly changing. I think it makes it really entertaining. I mean, 2 years ago, Harden was traded to the Nets. Year after that, Harden's traded to the Sixers. Year after that, Kyrie and KD are traded away. So it's like just the lifespan of one team, the Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, any Nets fans. I actually have a buddy who is a Nets fan. I'm sorry, Aiden. I actually kind of like what the Nets got going on. I'll get to them later. But, if I'm the Pacers next year, maybe I try to take a swinger on the trade deadline. If we're competing, if we're like the 10-9, best record in the East next year, maybe take a swing. Get a star player and pair him with Halliburton and Mathurin. If you can keep Turner in that deal, it's not a bad look. Like, honestly. All right, let's talk about the team that I really wanted to talk about because I really like SGA, and I like this team. I like the Thunder, like, a lot. Like, I'm really high on the Thunder. They finally started trying to win games. Like, they really did. Like, they're going to probably be in the play-in, and I'm so excited. Because you remember, I'm not the highest on Presti because if you just keep building up these picks and you're not ever competing, what's the point? Well, they started competing. Like, they actually, SGA is going to win Most Improved Player. He's got the same thing as Ja did last year, where it's like, you knew I was good, but now I'm just like, I went superstar this year. And that's what Ja did this year. Not Ja, sorry, SGA did this year. That's what Ja did last year, where it's like, everybody knew Ja was freaking good, and they took the superstar leap. And that's what SGA did this year. And I've talked about, before on this podcast, and I'm super high on SGA, and I think he's amazing. And I think I compared him to Dwayne Wade before, which I don't think is a terrible comparison to this day. I'm super high on SGA. I think he's so good. And I think with what the Thunder got going on, they can draft somebody this year. And I'm thinking next year, you want to talk about a team that needs to take a swing. Them, more than any other team we've talked about to this point, need to take a swing at the next big guy. Let's say things go bad in the Mavericks and Kyrie and Luka doesn't work out. Next trade deadline, we're looking at one of them being dealt, if not both of them. I don't think Luka would be dealt. I really don't. But let's say he is. You throw not all the picks. I'm saying anything you need to get him. You throw your case, your absolute dump truck load of picks, and maybe you toss in, I don't know, Osman Jang, I think it's how you pronounce it. Some prospect, some younger guy that maybe the Mavericks have some interest in to go get Luka. I don't know if you want Kyrie. I think it's kind of a mess to bring into your young team. But the Thunder, they play hard. I mean, they've got guys I like. I love Lou Dort. I think Chet's going to be really interesting here next year. I think next year they're going to make playoffs. I think they can make it this year as a play-in. But I wouldn't. Okay, I should take it back. I think there's a decent chance they slow down at the end of the year and the Blazers slip into the play-in spot and the Thunder fall out. And the Thunder don't make the play-in. But I think next year they might make the playoffs. SGA is so good for this team, and him and Chet are going to be a great duo. You got Lou Dort. You got there's definitely more guys I'm forgetting. They have much better depth than I'm making it clear. They have better guys in this. I'm not naming it off the top of my head. I'm too focused on SGA because I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's so great, and I'm going to be honest. I think okay. A lot of people are out on the Grizzlies, me included. Right, they're the new Suns, where they were super popular and now they're super hated. That's kind of me with the Grizzlies. I'm one of those people. I think there's a real argument in my mind. If you said, who do you want you're starting a team, you get Ja or SGA, who do you want? I honestly would take Shai. I love Shai. I think he's amazing. And he's played so well on a team he knew wasn't even trying to win, go anywhere, right? He's played so hard for this Thunder team since 2020. So 4 seasons now. I mean, you saw that not his rookie year, well, his first year with the Thunder, his second year in the league, when they, go to the playoffs with Chris Paul, a team that most people thought were going to be getting a top 5 pick, and they went to the playoffs and went to a 7-game series with the Rockets. Still upset they lost that. But, he's played hard then. Chris Paul gets traded away. He continues to play hard. Continues to play hard the next year. Now he's finally going to win Most Improved Player after averaging 30 points. He's so good. So I'm just so happy for Shai. I think the Thunder know that they got something special in him, and I think they're hopefully next year they're really okay, let's take a swing. I think this offseason / next trade deadline, when I'm the Thunder, I want to take a swing. I'm not sure who it is. We'll find out eventually. But the next, Donovan Mitchell, the next Kyrie Irving, the next Kevin Durant, you take that swing. Because the Thunder, they have all those picks built up. And next year, if you've got a winning record around the trade deadline or you're around 500, you're like the 7-6-ish seed in the West, I'd go for it. I think they might make the playoffs this year. I can see it. They could take like the Timberwolves spot. Like the Timberwolves and Jazz could both fall down in the way the league's stacking up right now, and then like the Pelicans and Thunder could move in, and the Blazers could be a play-in team. I would love for the Thunder to make playoffs. I'd be so excited. So yeah, really happy with SGA and the Thunder. I love SGA. All right. Bulls, baby. Oh, crap. The Bulls. Oh, no. It's not good. It's really not good. I think LaVine's going to be dealt this offseason or next trade deadline. I think he's done. Lonzo's out. Patrick Williams is obviously, like, you're going to keep him. He plays well for you. Them being fun and being a fringe contender is over, right? That was last year. This year, it's the harsh reality of we're not that good that is set in when you're the Bulls. Really, my biggest thing with the Bulls is there's a part of me that thinks, what if the fates align? And the Bulls, who had their next big guy in Derrick Rose, and then, I talk about the flow of teams, right? And the Derrick Rose one's almost always one I use as the example, with the flow of a pro sports team, where you're really good, then you're bad, then you're really good, and you're bad. Like, it just naturally ebbs and flows. And how when something weird happens, like a weird random injury like Derrick Rose, it ruins your ebb and flow. So you're caught in like limbo for like 5 years. That's what the Bulls been doing. So, and they got out of the limbo. Now they're like trying to compete, but it hasn't really worked out. So they're going to be bad again. How cool would it be since they got like their last, the last time they were supposed to be really good is when they had Derrick Rose. Like that was their next guy when the fates aligned for them. That was their next MJ. Obviously, he wasn't the next Michael Jordan because it's not like Derrick Rose is the greatest basketball player of all time. But I'm saying he was the next great Bull. Wouldn't it be amazing if they got Wemby? Like, that'd be awesome. Or what if they get Scoot, and Scoot's amazing? I don't know. I just thought of that. I'm like, wouldn't that... It would be so cool if the fates align and the Bulls are the team that win the Wembanyama sweepstakes, and they get the next guy. And Chicago finally has that next guy. I mean, there's a reason they haven't changed the uniform since Jordan left. Like, they're known for that. They will forever be known as the Jordan team. I don't know. Actually, I do know. That's what I want. That's what I hope happens. Honestly, if you said Wembanyama, is going to go to the Spurs or Bulls, one of the two, that's the two teams I would want. And if you said you had to pick one, I would say Bulls. I think the Bulls would be the most interesting place. I think Spurs is a little more likely, but it'd be really cool if the Bulls got the number one pick. All right, Western Conference again. Pelicans. I guess my thing with the Pelicans is you look good. And I think if Zion plays a full season for you next year, you're a legit, like, Western Conference Finals contender. Maybe he's so good they're a Finals contender. But that's the thing. It's really, right now, it's a waiting game. And it's a darn shame. It's been a waiting game for the last 4 years. Since you drafted Zion, it's been a waiting game. Actually, before they drafted Zion, it was a waiting game. Because they had Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. And it was like, oh, man, imagine once they had Zion. No, wait, it was when they drafted Zion. I apologize. Yeah. So they drafted Zion. And then that was the year he was out. And everybody's like, oh, once they had Zion, they'd be so good. And then he gets hurt. And he plays a little bit in 2021. Plays really well. No, wait. Yeah, it was 2021 he played a little bit. Was an all-star. Then he gets hurt. Hurt some last year. Now he's hurt again. It's really a shame because Zion's really good. But, I mean, I think if he comes back next year and competes at a high level, excellent. But, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about the Pelicans as much as I do some other teams just because it's just kind of a waiting game. I mean, I like the pieces they have. I think they're very ready to compete if Zion is going to be that guy we think he can be. But until Zion's there doing that, they're just kind of there. So, yeah. All right, Wizards. The Wizards are so weird. They don't really have a lot going for them because they're not bad enough to get anybody good, and they're not good enough to do anything. And until you really trade Beal, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, you're probably going to be in the play-in this year. They seem very committed to wanting to be in the play-in. Is this the offseason you finally deal Beal? Deal Beal. It rhymes nicely. I mean, obviously it rhymes nicely. They literally have the same last 3 letters. It's just, the words are the same. It's just the different first 2 letters. I don't know why I was surprised by that. But is this the offseason you finally ship off Beal? I think maybe, right? Just, because what are you really doing right now? You're not going to win the finals, and you're not going to get anybody that's going to help you in the finals. You're just wasting away guys' careers. So, yeah, I would deal Beal this offseason. I know if you're a Wizards fan, you appreciate the fact you're trying to compete, and I understand that completely. You know, I'm not saying tank. I'm just saying if you can trade Beal and get a draft pick for him, like, you know, go right into a rebuild. Because I think in the NBA right now, you don't really have to tank. You know, you can kind of just try your best to compete, and if you have somebody really good, you trade them away for assets and you rebuild. Hardly anybody's tanking right now. Like, the Pistons are rebuilding. They have young guys. They're trying to, at least they think they're trying to compete. Hopefully they're trying to compete. Gosh. Actually, they're not trying to compete. That's why I'm mad. But, look at your teams that try to compete, like the Magic, right? They're trying to compete, and it's paying off for them. So, I think I'd rather be the Magic right now than the Wizards, and that's because the Magic, bit the bullet and shipped off Vucevic, and it paid off for them. So, that's what I'd do if I was the Wizards. But I am not the Wizards. I'm just Ryan. I'm the Sort of Sports Podcast, baby. All right, Jazz. The Jazz are exactly 500 right now. It was really fun when they were really good, and I think Lauri Markkanen's, being a all-star starter for them was awesome. I think it's a really fun team. I think there's a real danger they fall out of the playoffs, though, and the play-in, and I'm kind of worried about that for them. I think when you're the Jazz, you're just looking at it like, who do we sign this offseason to help us? Because you're not going to get a superstar guy. Right. Like, you're not going to go out and sign, like, a big name. You're not going to go out and trade for a big name. But it's like, who do we sign that's, like, a pretty decent player that ends up really putting us on the next level so we compete every year? And then we start talking about, like, okay, now we're going to go out and get somebody. Like, how do we become the Suns in 2020? Where it's like, oh, you add a piece there, they could be good. And then we go and add that piece. Like, that's what you're trying to be next year when you're the Jazz. You're trying to be that team next year that guys are like, oh, man, they're like a superstar away from really being something. And then you go out and you get that superstar. That superstar comes to you. I think that's what you're trying to do when you're the Jazz. Because you got good pieces. And you just got to, continue to compete with those pieces and not fall behind. All right, Raptors. Oh, the Raptors. Oh, no, not the Raptors. I don't really know. Because the thing is with the Raptors is they've made the playoffs they made them last year. I couldn't remember what happened in 2021. Yeah, they missed that year. But 2020, they were the 2 seed. That was the Lowry year. Yeah. 2021, they ship off Lowry. And then they draft Scotty because they're bad. And then with Scotty, they go as the 5 seed. And they win almost 50 games. They went 48-34 last year. Wow. Without really a main superstar. It's just impressive. So, I guess, I'm trying to think what you really do when you're the Raptors, because they don't really seem to want to trade Van Vliet or Anunoby or Pascal or anyone. So it's like, what are you really doing? I think they're kind of waiting for that next guy. I think they were really probably in on Donovan, but the Knicks had such a high not asking price. The Knicks probably had a big bid, and then the Cavs made their bid, and the Cavs got him. Just, to this day, the most exciting thing. Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. I always liked Donovan Mitchell, and then he came to the Cavs. It's so great. By the way, he is my favorite shooting guard in the league. He overtook Luka. Luka's second. It can't not be Donovan Mitchell. He plays for my Cavs. Come on. Mobley's still my second favorite power forward. I don't like him better than like Giannis. Giannis is my guy. But when you're the Raptors, I've been talking a lot on this podcast about, the big swings. I've been talking a lot about that a lot with these teams that aren't in the playoffs. And that's what's fun about the NBA right now is, I look at a team like the Cavs, who last year were kind of in the Raptors' position. They took a big swing and really paid off. You can take big swings and have it not pay off. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets. But the Knicks took a big swing and it's really paid off. I mean, Brunson's been even better than I thought he'd be for them. And that's great. So you can really do that. And I think when you're the Raptors, you need to take that. Because if not, you're just wasting away. Kind of like the Wizards. It's like, what are you really doing? So you got a lot of good talent on that Raptors team. You got a lot of depth. Got a great coach in Nick Nurse. But I just get scared they're not going to make the big move. And I think they do. Need to. I think they really need. I think they really need to make that big move within the next year. Or else then you're going to get to the point where you're trading away your guys like Van Vliet and OG Anunoby. And that's not fun. Like, it's not what, especially when you could have been competing. So it's a weird situation there, Toronto. All right, Timberwolves. Gosh, I predicted them to be really good, and then they weren't. It's really a shame what's going on with this Timberwolves team. I really wanted them to be good. I like Anthony Edwards. At least you got him. But I'm going to be honest. When you're the Timberwolves right now, you're just thinking about the fact that you might have to trade Karl Anthony Towns. You need to figure out, is Karl Anthony Towns leaving you? Because if he is, you need to trade him away to a place that somehow gives you back something to help build around Anthony Edwards. Because I think when you're the Timberwolves, your mind should be around Anthony Edwards is your guy and Karl Anthony Towns is his co-star. Because Anthony Edwards is great. And he's super popular for a reason. He's a great personality. He plays really well. I mean, he's awesome. Anthony Edwards is awesome. And I love Anthony Edwards. And I picked him to most improved player. Really glad it's SGA. But there's a reason I picked Anthony Edwards. Saying uber talented guy. So I think you're the Timberwolves right now. You're starting to think, okay, are we trading Karl Anthony Towns this offseason or next year around the trade deadline? And if you are, you need to start figuring out what you're going to get to help out Anthony Edwards. Because you don't want to mess up and keep this rolling and then eventually Edwards wants out. Because then Cat's going to want out too, and then you lost both your guys. On the other end of the spectrum, we got the Hawks. What a disappointing team, right? I mean, beginning of the year, people were really hyping up this Hawks team. I wasn't crazy high, but I think I still had them at like the 4 spot in the East. I thought they'd be good. So, I think I had them going to the conference semis. The thing is with the Hawks, there's still time to salvage it. There really is. But to get to the heights of 2 years ago when you were in the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, no one really thought you'd be there, and then you were there, and I remember some of my friends were like, oh, you're going to lose to the Hawks, and the Hawks are going to go to the finals. I'm like, okay, Giannis is not going to lose the Hawks. We got this. And then they did lose that first game. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, gosh. No, please, I don't want to lose to Trae Young. And then we're fine. I think when you're the Hawks, you really got to try to put something together here. Now that you fired Nate McMillan, which is so weird with Nate McMillan, because 2 years ago, it's like he was their interim coach, and he led them to this big playoff run, and then you signed him. And then he didn't do well last year, but you go out and get DeJounte Murray this offseason, and that didn't really go as well as you thought. So it's so weird, but I guess what I'm thinking with the Hawks is, how long do they keep doing this until Trae wants out or they want rid of Trae or, the split between Trae Young and the Hawks happens? And when that happens, then what are they doing? Because they don't really have anything other than him. I mean, I like John Collins, but I don't think he has incredible value or anything. So I don't really know what the look is for this team. I mean, do you go into a rebuild and get some nice assets and some nice picks? Does Trae Young join the Thunder with SGA? Is that the next big swing? I don't know. But I think when you're the Hawks, you need to do your best to compete now, because if you don't, Trae Young might be leaving you. Or you don't want him anymore. We'll see. The Warriors. Okay. So the Warriors are still a contender, even though they're 30-30 right now at 500. Even though Steph's hurt, they're going to be in the playoffs, whether they're a 7 seed or they're a 4 seed. If they're a play-in team, regardless, they're going to be a threat. Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson. And why can't I remember who they're running at center nowadays? It's still Draymond, right? I mean, why am I stupid? Oh, it's Kevon Looney's been playing some solid minutes. But I don't think they're going to repeat. I think that's out the window. I don't think the Warriors are going to go back to back, especially in Hood Classic seasons. It's really hard to have back to back champions because everything's so competitive. So I just don't. I don't really see them winning the finals this year. But I mean, you can't write them off. You really can't. I think I prefer the Suns over them in a 7-game series, though. I think I also would prefer the Nuggets. I don't know if I prefer the Grizzlies over them, though. Maybe that's me being really negative about the Grizzlies. The Warriors are still a really good team. Like, they're better than their record. I know they always say that, but I'm like, this is legit true. They are better than their record because injuries. The Heat, oh man, the Heat. The Heat are quite a situation because looking back in 2020, it's like you made the finals. No one, I mean, you were kind of a dark horse contender, and there you were, 2 games out of winning the finals. And then the next year, you lose to the Bucks. I mean, you get swept by the Bucks in the second round. No, first round. Sorry, it was first round on the Bucks. Yeah, it was first round. You get swept by the Bucks. That was when you added Victor Oladipo. So then you go out and you add Kyle Lowry, and you do get to the conference finals. You were the 1 seed in the East. You get to the conference finals. Oh, wait, sorry. They added Kyle Lowry. Did they add Kyle? I might be bugging. When did Kyle Lowry go to the Heat? Let me look this up real quick. I couldn't remember. Was that 2021? Yeah, okay. It was the 2022 season. All right, I was right. Okay, we're good. So, yeah, you added Kyle Lowry to your team. Now, where's Victor Oladipo now? Is he still there? Yeah, he is. Huh. I don't know why I thought he left. That's weird. Okay. So, you go to the conference finals last year. I mean, you put up a big fight against the Celtics. And sorry, I was just thinking about. I remember recording that podcast with Dalton about the conference finals. I remember it was because it was Heat, Celtics, Warriors, and who was Mavericks? That's who it was. I couldn't remember who was in the conference finals last year against the Warriors. So the Heat are just weird because you had this championship window with Jimmy as your best player, and you're like, yeah, and Bam is obviously excellent. Love Bam Adebayo. And it's like, yeah, we got one of the only guys in the league who can slow down Giannis a bit and Bam Adebayo. It's like, we can be a real threat. And then you get swept in the first round. You go to the conference finals last year, which is huge, but you lose. And I don't think anybody this year is like, oh, yeah, the Heat are going to go to the finals because I don't think that. I think they'd be lucky to get to the second round. I mean, right now they're the 7th seed. If they go up against the Bucks in the first round, it's over. If they go up against the Sixers, who are the 3 seed in the first round, it's over. Like, I don't see the Heat really being a threat this year, and I don't know what really the move is there because I don't think they're going to make a big move. It's going to really improve them a lot. So I think you just kind of run it back next year and hope it clicks. I don't really know what they're going to do. I don't have a lot to say about the Heat, I guess. All right, Mavericks. There is a world where this Mavericks team is in the finals, but their defense is so abysmal, I do not see that world. That world is very far-fetched because their defense is not good. I think they're going to be 4 or 5 seed. Maybe they'll stay at the 6th spot. And they'll probably lose in the first round. Maybe Luka can get them to a second-round berth because him and Kyrie are really talented. But it was definitely a let's try to save Luka move. I'm willing to bet Kyrie sticks around for one more year. Right? I mean, he does a free agency this offseason. So, gosh, if he walks, and then it's just back to where they were. Whew. That's when the Luka trade rumors really start heating up. It's like, okay, is Luka doing this again? Does Luka really want to do this? Wow. That'd be wild. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think when the Mavericks, I don't really have a lot to say other than, have fun losing in the second round or whatever. Because probably first round, honestly. All right, the Knicks. The Knicks are fun. I think the Brunson trade's really worked out for them. I love R.J. Barrett. I'm a little worried they're going to let him go. I don't really think he exactly fits their vision. I think Brunson's been really good for them, and I think they just need to keep. I think this year they're going to go to the playoffs. If they make the second round, that'd be really fun. I don't see them being a team that goes on a little run in the playoffs. I don't really think that's in the cards for them. But, I like what they have, and I like Brunson there. I think if they got another star player, they'd really. I mean, it's weird because it feels like they're a team that has like a perfect build for a star guy to slip into. Like if they would have gotten Kevin Durant, I'd been like, whoa, but they don't have the pieces to go out and get him. So I don't really know what's going to go on here because like Brunson as your second best player, Randall/Barrett as your third, and then they have some decent depth. I'm like, this could be a really good, like this could be maybe a championship team if you add like a really like a superstar level guy with them. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be able to go out and get a superstar level guy. So I don't think there's really a world where Brunson's the best guy in a championship team. I think he can definitely be the second. I think he can be the best guy on a playoff team, as we're seeing right now. I don't think he can be the best. I don't think he's a finals MVP, if that makes sense. All right, the Clippers. The Clippers just got Russell Westbrook, so that's that's interesting. This is truly his last chance at the finals. We all thought it was the Lakers. This is truly his last chance at a finals. The Clippers could legit go to the finals this year. I don't see it happening, but it could happen. Maybe it clicks, and the team that we thought we were going to be watching for the last couple of years is here now that Kawhi is healthy, now that George is healthy. Russ fits in, and it runs, but I don't think it's really going to happen. I think the Clippers, I don't see them getting a finals with Kawhi and George. I don't think this duo is going to win the finals. I think, honestly, their best shot, maybe it was 2021 when Kawhi got hurt, but I don't really think they were going to beat the Bucks. So I just don't see a world where the Clippers get out of the West and win the finals. Like, even if they did win the Western Conference Finals in the next year, like this year or the year after that, because who knows if Kawhi and Paul are staying after 2024. I don't even know if they win it. I mean, you're saying, all right, can they beat the Celtics in the finals? Can they beat the Bucks in the finals? Can they beat the Cavs in the finals? Can they beat the Sixers in the finals? I think I can see them beating the Sixers or Cavs. I don't see them beating the Bucks or the Celtics in the finals. I don't. So the Clippers, it's a shame, but I think the idea of them winning a finals with this team is over. So, all right, the Nets. I actually don't mind this Nets team. I think Bridges is a great player. I like Mikal Bridges there. I think Seth Curry fits in nicely. I don't know why I don't have a lot to say all of a sudden. I'm like, I think they're fun. I don't think they're going to be the 5 seed. I think they'll probably end up falling into the 8 spot or maybe a play-in spot at 9 and 10. But I guess I'm kind of putting them the same thing as the Jazz, where it's like go out and get guys that make you an attractive destination for a superstar. Where it's like, yeah, I want to join that team. Like that team's really going to be something if I add to them. Because you could be a great destination for someone to land with, Like the Jazz are trying to be, I think the Jazz could try to be that. Maybe the Jazz want to be bad and get a pick. I don't know. It's exactly what the Jazz want. But personally, I'd be trying to, make myself an attractive destination for the next big guy. I think if you're the Nets, that's what you're doing. You're like, okay, so we have these good assets. Let's try to get somebody, with our draft pick that's going to be around the 16 to 17 spot. Try to snag somebody there. Maybe we can trade, like Seth Curry to a team that wants to have some extra shooting and get something there. And, maybe get, a pick there. So, get some young guys in there, try to work it, and then look to be a team that is an attractive destination that a superstar wants to go to because they have great depth. I mean, that's what the Clippers were before Kawhi and Paul came. Paul. I don't know why I called him Paul. Yeah, me and Paul George are best friends. We call him by each other by first name. He calls me Sort. I don't know why I keep hitting the Sort of Sports podcast jokes today. Apparently I was in the mood. All right, the Suns. Let me check real quick. I was watching that Suns-Bucks game earlier. Who won? The Bucks didn't have Giannis, and Chris Middleton didn't start, and they were still beating them. Yeah, the Bucks won by 3. Excellent work, Drew Holiday. I think a lot of people right now are probably saying the Suns are the best team in the West, and arguably like the favorite to win the finals out of the West. Like if you said pick a West team, it'd be the Suns. I like the Nuggets more than them, but I probably would say they have to be the 2, right? With KD, with the talent they have. I think that was a really good move by their front office. Like a really good move. Because without KD, I really wasn't that intrigued by this team at all. I thought they maybe make it to the Western Conference Finals and then lose. Didn't think they really had anything in them. But with KD, that does add some juice to them. I think my thing going in the future with them is how many years are they going to have KD? Because if KD wants to be here for the next 3 years, well, now we're really talking about something. Because it's like, okay, so KD wants to be here the next 3 years, and if Ayton is interested now that KD's here, Booker's bought in, and Paul's just going to stay here until he retires. Now you got something cooking up because in free agency you can maybe get some interesting, role players that want to help you compete. So I think that could be interesting. I don't see the Suns winning the finals this year. I don't think they're going to do it the first year KD's here. But we start talking about him being there 2 or 3 years. Now I see it. Now I'm like, okay, I could see them next year. Maybe they add some guys that fit in better now that they have KD and play off him even better. And now, I think Monty Williams is a good coach. I will give him that. I think Monty Williams knows what he's doing. So I will give him major props. I'm talking about taking big swings. Props to the Suns for doing that. So I think this year I expect them to make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose. I kept making jokes. Congrats, you're going to lose in the second round. But I'm going to be honest. I think they'll make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose. Unless they play like the Mavericks in the second round and Luka's pissed. It would be. Luka hates the Suns. He's their daddy. I mean, that's always the big joke, right? So maybe they play like Luka, and Luka's just like, yeah, I'm going to cook you. And Kyrie's pissed. That's who'd be pissed. Luka's just Luka. So, but yeah, I think we start talking about the Suns winning the finals. I could see that down the line, but I don't see that right now. I don't see that this year. Cavs, baby. Woo! My Cavs. All right, so the Cavs are exciting because we're pretty much going to be competing for the finals for the next 3 to 4 years. If Mitchell wants to stay around, we can pretty much compete for the finals indefinitely. Like, as long as the core wants to stay around. Now, what's wild is the fact that our core is like 4 guys. Because it's Garland, Mobley, Mitchell, Jarrett. Most teams, it's 2 to 3. Us, it's like 4. And kind of a Coro. So that's fun. The Kevin Love buyout, I'm obviously very upset by. Everybody here knows I love Kevin Love. And I'm not the biggest fan of buying him out. Like, I get he wanted to go. I think that's nice of them. But in the same sense, like, I don't know. He was hurt, so it's whatever. If Kevin Love wanted that, that's what he wanted. Fine. But hopefully he still wants to come back here and be like an assistant coach. I feel like he'd be a great coach. Especially for the Cavs, because like he's going to be remembered as a Cav, not really a Timberwolf. So, really with my Cavs, I'm like, okay, your goal should be to make it to the second round. And then if you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, excellent. I think that's really what we're looking at. Make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, lose it to the Bucks, and next year start looking to be in the finals / win. That's really the look for the Cavs. I don't see us winning the finals this year. Are we a fringe contender? Yeah, we are. Barring some weird circumstances or some guys getting hot, we could be in the finals. Do I see it happening? Not really. But for the next couple of years, we're going to be competing for the finals, and that's freaking awesome. So it's really, really exciting stuff. All right, Western Conference. The Kings. I don't think anybody thinks the Kings are going to win the finals. I don't think a single soul other than the Kings fan thinks they're going to win the finals. Major props to the Kings. Like, round of applause for the Kings. Remember I talked about putting in the laugh track? I should put in like a clap track for the Kings because major props. I mean, they're competitive. Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox have been a great duo. They're the third best record in the West. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Like, major props to the Kings. I don't think they're going to win the finals. I don't think they're going to make the Western Conference Finals. But the fact that they're competing is excellent. If I'm the Kings, I'm just running this back next year and hoping we can take that next step and improve. I wouldn't make a crazy move because I think right now you're a good team. I would just try to add to it. Just get some solid guys to add to it. But this year, I'm just trying to see how far as we can go because the fact that we're here is exciting, right? When you're a Kings fan, it's the fact that you're there. All right, Sixers. So, does Harden want out? That's the big question going into the future. But realistically, right now, your thoughts are, you're looking to compete for the finals, to be in the finals and potentially win it. I'm going to be honest. I don't see that in the cards for the Sixers. I can see a world they play the Celtics or the Cavs and beat them. But when they go to the conference finals against the Bucks, that's when it's over. That's just... I don't think defensively they're ready for the offense of the Bucks. I think people underrate how well constructed this Bucks roster is. Like when they're running Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, every single one of those guys I don't want taking a wide open shot. I mean, Giannis, you don't want the ball in Giannis's hands, right? So you get the ball away from Giannis. Congrats. Well, now Grayson Allen's going to catch and shoot it. Or you get Drew Holiday, who's going to drive to the hoop, make an athletic move. Or you got Chris Middleton who can catch and shoot. Brook Lopez who can catch and shoot. So if they're running your starting lineup at you, it's pain. And I think they have more depth than people give them credit for. Like Javon Carter saw today was getting buckets for the Bucks. I don't really know how to word this other than the fact that I don't think the Sixers can beat the Bucks. I think they need to be concerned about the fact is, okay, well, we've done everything we could to build a championship team for Embiid with Harden, right? Like, we made the move that we talked about for years. People wanted to see, me included. And we still can't beat the Bucks. So now what do we do? And the sad truth of the matter is, I don't know what they can do. I mean, if Harden walks this summer and they start rebuilding, not rebuilding, like they're still competing, but I'm like, they start building a different team around Embiid of different players, I don't really know the scenario where the Sixers are better than the Bucks. I just don't. I think Giannis is better than Embiid. I think Embiid's an amazing player, one of the best players in the league. But I think he's just kind of, barring him leaving or the Sixers constructing some super team, which I really hope doesn't happen because I'm really happy with the way the NBA is super competitive and not super team driven at the moment. I don't see a scenario where Embiid and the Sixers are better than the Bucks. And let's say injuries happen and the Sixers make it and now they're in the finals against the Nuggets. I would take the Nuggets over the Sixers too. It's probably a hot take, but we've never seen Harden in the finals. So now let's talk about on the bright side. What if they did win it? I mean, that's an incredible look for Embiid. That definitely puts you over Jokic, even without the MVPs, regardless who wins MVP this year. Puts you over Jokic. You got a ring. It's impressive. Harden, that completely changed the narrative on him. He wins a ring. Now Russ is the only one of the Thunder guys who doesn't have a ring. Harden's is easily the most important. He has a more impressive ring than KD, either of KD's, with the Warriors. So that'd be huge for his legacy. I think with the Sixers, and then you're like, okay, let's run it back. That would be awesome. I don't know if it'd be awesome. I don't like Harden. So I don't know if it's awesome, to be honest. I like Embiid. I like Embiid fine. I used to really love him, but I became more of a Jokic guy over time. So I think it's the wrong word. It wouldn't be awesome. It would be surprising. That's the correct term. Okay, Grizzlies. I'm not as high on the Grizzlies as I was last year. I think it's true for a lot of people. I think they're a second round out this year again. And I think if they did win the finals, I mean, holy crap. Like, that's a really young team winning the finals. That's impressive. Okay. Then we start, okay, well, how many is Ja going to win, right? He's this young. Can they win it again next year? Like, if they did win. But I don't see him winning. I don't think it's really likely. I think I would rather take my odds on the Suns or the Clippers or maybe even the Mavericks and the Warriors, honestly, over I take the Grizzlies. So they're a really good team. I don't think they're there yet. I think they need another year. And I think they got to get that secondary scorer. If it's Bane, it needs to be Bane all the time. It can't be Bane sometimes. I love Desmond Bane, but it's got to be Bane all the time. So, can't be there some nights and not there other. Can't be absent to class. It's got to be there all the time. All right, let's do the Bucks. I mean, I kept doing order. I was going to do Bucks last, but I might as well do it in order, like I was doing. So the Bucks, if they win the finals, which I think is going to happen, still my pick. Then Giannis has 2 rings in the span of 3 years. Now you're at some rare air, because when you start winning rings, with the same group twice, it's pretty impressive, especially in an ultra competitive field. Like these last 3 years in the NBA, very competitive years. I'd say last 4, but it's weird because the 2020 season's cut short. So, really competitive years, and you're still winning the finals. Like, it's not like the league's not that good and it's you and only one other team like, the Warriors and Cavs, which makes the Kevin Durant rings even less impressive because it's like them and the Cavs were like the only 2 legit teams. Well, I guess the Rockets. It was like 3 real teams that could win the finals in 2018. I don't think anybody was taking the Thunder with Paul and Russ. I keep saying Paul. It's Paul George, dang it. Yeah. I'm thinking, I guess if Giannis wins it this year, it's like, okay, can they win it? Like, can you go back to back now? Like, you start thinking about how many is he going to rack up? Because 2 rings, and I don't really think he's going to slow down until around the end of the decade. So it's like in the 2020s, is he going to get, in his career, is he going to get 4 or 5 rings? Like, how many? Is he going to have more rings than LeBron? Is he going to have as many? Because if Giannis stays with the Bucks his whole career and wins 4 rings, then we're talking about, GOAT conversation, where we're going to put him. Granted, the guy only has 1 right now. I shouldn't start making broad statements. But I'm saying, if they win it this year, he's got 2 rings already. I mean, Giannis has potential to be looked at as one of the greatest players of all time. I think 2 rings solidifies the fact he is going to be one of the greatest players of all time. And that'd be exciting. I think it's really in the cards, too. All right, last team from the West, the Nuggets. I am very high on the Nuggets this year. I really am. I think Jokic is playing the best we've seen, which is crazy because it feels like he's improved every year he's in the league, which is just nuts. He's so good. And I think it's the best Nuggets team he's had around him. I think, shipping off Bones was the right move. I think him and Aaron Gordon have played off each other very well. I like Jamal Murray now that he's back. I mean, I always like Jamal Murray. I like Jamal Murray being back. I think this is the best this Nuggets team's ever looked with Jokic. I think this is the first year that we're like, okay, they're a legit contender. I think 2020, they were kind of fringe. 2021, it was like, okay, probably not. 2022, obviously not. So this is the first year where it's like they could be in the finals, and they could win the finals. And I'm going to be honest, if you told me to pick the finals right now, I'd pick Bucks over Nuggets. So, 2 best players in the league, 2 best teams. There it is. Celtics, the best team in the league record-wise right now, 44-17, with the Bucks win today. It's now, they both have 44-17 records. So, pretty exciting stuff because the Bucks could be the 1 seed, which is excellent because if the Bucks are the 1 seed and the Cavs end at the 4 seed, that lines it up so dang it, then they play each other. Balls. Okay, hopefully the Cavs move up to being the 3 seed and the Bucks are the 1 seed. That's the goal. That's my goal. Don't want them to have to play each other until the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what I pray for. So the Celtics, all right. A lot of people are a lot more. If you want to listen to a podcast that's high on the Celtics, don't listen to mine. Don't listen to the Source Sports podcast if you want to hear a lot of good things about the Celtics. Because I think they're very good, but I don't think they're going to win the finals. Because Jason Tatum had one of the worst performances by a superstar player in the NBA Finals I've ever seen. He was so bad. Jaylen Brown looked better. I think this Celtics team has a lot of depth. I think Brown and Tatum are a very good duo. I think the fact that they've had 3 coaches in the span of 2 years and are this good is really impressive. And I can't decide if that's saying more about how much coaching matters in the NBA, like how much coaching isn't really that big of a deal in the NBA, or if that's just pointing out that this Celtics team's really good. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But regardless of what it means, this Celtics team wins games, and they win a lot of them. I just think come playoff time, it's over. I think this has been a great season for them, and I think as soon as they play the Bucks, to be honest, I think the Cavs are a terrible matchup for them. I really do. They don't have anybody that can compete with Jarrett and Mobley when they're on the floor. Like Grant Williams going to go up against Jarrett and Mobley? Like, really? So that's what I'm saying. Is I think the Celtics, they could make the Eastern Conference Finals. They really could. And then they lose the Bucks, and that's that. Now let's talk about if they did win the finals. I forgot to do that for the Nuggets. My thing is, for if the Nuggets did win the finals, then it's like, oh my gosh, the Jokic career is looking insane because he's got a potential 3rd MVP coming, and then a finals. Like that's awesome. So it's like Jokic's 1 ring would be huge. It's in a super competitive year. It'd be a really important ring. He's already got incredible stats. Like Jokic being one of the greatest centers of all time really starts being talked about if the Nuggets win the finals this year. So if the Celtics win the finals this year, they finally have the 18th banner, which they've obviously been after for a while. And I think it kind of validates everything that's went down with Tatum and Brown and this super long process that, that started with Danny Ainge, then Ainge leaves as the GM. Like, it's this huge process. And I think it's a lot of pressure off Tatum and Brown because, they've been talking about them being they've been close to the finals so many times. So, Tatum's rookie year, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. He dunks over LeBron. So, I think it just validates all that. I did pick him to win the finals last year. They disappointed the hell out of me. So, then there's that. All right, that was a checkup on every NBA team. I did it. Woohoo! Woohoo! All right. So now I just had a couple things I wanted to touch on. I said I got to talk about my guy SGA. I did that. Giannis is a fire to him. Yeah, I just want to say I feel like Giannis looks really fired up. I think he really wants to win the finals again, and that's just exciting. I just want to toss it out there. All right, so let's end with the most interesting finals matchups. So just matchups I think would be really fun to watch. First one, obviously Warriors Cavs. I don't think this is really likely this year, but if the Warriors go on a big run in the playoffs and they go up against the Cavs, who could go on a big run too, it's 2 teams that have to get really hot to be in there. It'd just be really cool because it's a rematch of like a not old rivalry. It's a rematch of the rivalry that was obviously big in the late part of the 2010s, but it's with entirely different casts, except for obviously Curry and Klay still being with the Warriors and Draymond. So it'd just be really interesting. It's like the new Cavs against like half of the old Warriors, so it's kind of cool. Nuggets Sixers, I don't think I have to explain this too much. It's Embiid, Jokic in the finals. Mavs Celtics, this is fun. Gets the Kyrie Irving finals, right, when he played for Boston. And that obviously did not end well, so that'd be cool. Plus, Luka against the Celtics is also cool because it's like the big historical team like the Celtics, and then Luka's competing against them for his first ring. I think that's fun. Suns Bucks rematch 2021. That was a great finals. Giannis could cook him again, but this time it's got the KD element, which is also cool because Giannis beat him on the way to his 2021 finals. So that's really cool. I think that'd be awesome. I think it's very likely, honestly, too. Not very likely. I'm not the biggest on the Suns. I got to make sure I qualify. I'm more high on the Nuggets than the Suns. Suns Celtics. Gosh. Who would I root for in this? I guess I'd root Celtics. Goodness. Yeah, I guess. I can't really root for the Suns. Goodness. All right, and then Suns and Celtics would just be interesting because it's Tatum versus KD, Brown, Booker, Marcus Smart versus Chris Paul. I feel like would be oddly fun, right? And then my personal favorite, Like, I really want to see this finals, and the one that I think is the most likely also, it's Nuggets-Bucks. I think that'd be freaking great. I really do. Giannis, Jokic competing. I think Aaron Gordon guarding Giannis won't end well for the Nuggets, but he might be able to try for a bit. I think Jamal Murray would just have some night where he goes off and the Nuggets end up winning. It would go at least 6 games. I don't think it goes 7, but it'd be really fun finals. And yeah, I mean, that'd be really sick if it happened. So I think that's a real possibility too. I honestly think that's my pick at the moment. I guess I'll touch on MVP before we go. I think Jokic is the front runner. He's currently averaging a triple-double. I think he's going to win it. He's the best player on the best team at the moment. I mean, that's always a good – when you're going for MVP, you got to have the record, you got to have the narrative, and you got to have the stats. Well, he's got the stats and the record. I think the narrative is kind of there because it's like they've never been this good with him putting up – they've never been the best team in the West. Had the best record. And if they had the best record in the league and he's got his triple-double average, I think then he'll definitely win it. I think Embiid's probably the 2 right now just because out of the group of him, Giannis, and Jokic that have been fighting for the MVP for the last – well, this will be the 3rd straight year. It's the last 2 years. He's the one that hasn't gotten one because Giannis obviously had his 2 in 2019 and 2020. And I think he's probably the 2. And then Giannis, for obvious reasons, pretty much every year Giannis is in the league, he's going to be competing for the MVP. But his stats are incredible. I mean, very often, it's like Bill Simmons pointed out in his podcast. He's like, these 3, it's like every other night there's a stat where it's like, yeah, this hasn't happened since Wilt, and it's almost always Embiid or Jokic or Giannis, and it pretty much happens feels like once a week. Like they're breaking some crazy record. So there are 3 uber talented players and 3 guys I like. I mean, I obviously love Giannis. I've developed a real love for Jokic. The big Jokic. That guy talked, didn't I? I'm pretty sure on last pod was the one that I was like, yes, big sexy Jokic. And like I said, I did that whole joke. Maybe it wasn't a joke. Who knows? And then there was obviously a time where Embiid and I was a big Embiid guy. I owned an Embiid t-shirt and everything. I actually bought Sixers gear because of Embiid. I was a big Embiid guy. I still like Embiid. I got overtaken by Jokic. Something about him. He's great. So, yeah, the 3 of them are all uber talented players, and it's great what's going on right now. And I guess the other guy I'd say for MVP is Luka. I think he's the other big candidate. If the Mavericks ended as like the 2 or 3 seed and Luka continues to put up his numbers, he could win it. But I'm going to be honest, I've said Luka Doncic would win MVP since 2020. Not 2020, 2021. Sorry, 2021. Every year since 2021, I've been saying Luka. Since I started doing predictions on the pod, I think I've predicted Luka to win MVP every year. I think I did in 2021 and 2022 at the beginning of the season. I'm going to check that real quick. But I'm pretty sure. Who did I predict this time? MVP Curry. DPOY Evan Mobley. Man. Oh, man. That's, well. That's funny. Evan Mobley DPOY. Maybe a couple years down the line, we'll get an Evan Mobley DPOY. There's potential. There's potential. I'm trying to look back. I'm going back to my really old scripts. I can't even find my predictions for MVP from my first NBA season predictions. I can't even find that on my phone because I do it in my notes app. All right, let's look. I should have my predictions from, I do have them from this year, from last year. I predicted KD. Okay. Well, I know I predicted Luka the year before. I predicted KD. Gosh, I'm bad at predicting MVP at the beginning of the year. Sheesh. So, yeah. Yikes. Apparently, if I predict you to be MVP, you're going to get hurt that year because KD last year and then Curry this year. Yikes. Maybe I should pick Harden next year. That's terrible. I'm kidding. I was kidding. I do not want to wish injury upon anyone. I'm just messing with you, James Harden. I don't really like you, but I wouldn't want you to get hurt because it's funny to watch you play badly, even when you're healthy. I don't need you to be injured for you to embarrass yourself. That was really mean. That was, man. Let's go back to the things I love. I love Nikola Jokic. He's great. It was his birthday like a week ago. I was very happy because I love Jokic. So yeah, MVP. I think it's going to be Jokic. And I think him winning 3 straight MVPs is actually incredible. I can't remember the last guy who did that. I'm going to look up NBA MVPs real quick because it's quite a stat. Let me look this up. 3 straight is like LeBron had 2 in a row. Giannis had 2 in a row. Who had 3 straight? MJ had 2 in a row. Magic had 2 in a row. Tim Duncan had 2 in a row. Larry Bird was the last guy to win 3 straight MVPs. Before him, it was Wilt, obviously. And that's it. Oh, no, Bill Russell. Bill Russell won 3 straight MVPs. The man. Gotta love Bill Russell. I gotta watch that documentary about him on Netflix. I'll tell you guys what I think. Man, you gotta love Bill Russell. Bill's great. I like the 6 on the jerseys. I think it looks really nice. Just a little thing. Like, it's nice because it's black with the white number. It's really sleek. It looks good on every jersey. I like it. I'm glad they did that for him. Okay, I think that's it. I'm not really going to go over movies or television or anything. Like I said, I got a lot of TV shows I'm watching at the moment. Hopefully, I'll finish Outer Banks Season 3, and then I'll probably finish Winning Time, work through White Lotus, and then I like Breaking Bad a lot, so I need to probably get back into that. And then I obviously really like The Boys and get back into that. So I got a lot of shows for me to watch. On top of the fact I'm always watching the Looney Tunes show because it's a classic. So I'm actually probably going to, after I edit this, watch Outer Banks Season 3, continue with that. So, yeah, I think that'll be it. So, yeah, movies I've been watching. I did watch Magnolia. I think it's the best Paul Thomas Anderson movie I've watched. I don't know if I'm going to continue my Paul Thomas Anderson run. Like, I don't know. I think by April I was thinking I'd probably have them all watched. I have I have 3 left. No, sorry, it's 9 movies. I have 5 left. So, I think it's The Master, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, and Inherent Vice, the 5 I have left. I might run through them all. I'm not sure. I recently watched 21 Bridges. Oh, crap. Okay. Wasn't planning on doing a movie section. I'm going to do it real quick. If you haven't watched 21 Bridges, you're missing out. It's so good. I loved it. It's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Just saying that right now. It's going into the movie Hall of Fame. I loved it. It worked perfect for me. One of Chadwick Boseman's last movies he made before he died. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. He was one of my favorite actors, when he was working. And he still is one of my favorite actors. But I'm saying it's really a shame that he passed away. And, him and Michael B. Jordan, I'm a big fan of both of them. And it was so cool that they were in Black Panther together. And 2 great actors. And pretty much every movie they're in, they make it better. And, gosh, 21 Bridges is so good because it starts off and you think it's just going to be this pretty straightforward action movie like, yeah, go get him, police Chadwick Boseman. And then it becomes like surprisingly deep about like the corruption that can go on in society and, how we overlook, things as people. And, you look at the criminals at first, you're like, yeah, screw them, go kill him, Chadwick Boseman. And then you're like, no, they shouldn't, he needs to. They're people, and they can make mistakes. And then the police, you're looking at them, and you're like, wait a minute. There's something shady going on here. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's way deeper than it had any right to be. And it was awesome, and it was action-packed, and I thought it was really tightly written. And it was like an hour and a half, and it was a banger, and I loved it. And it's probably the best movie I've watched all year. And I've watched Interstellar and Boogie Nights and these movies that are, like, super prestigious. And I think 21 Bridges, why did I say it weird? 21 Bridges, I think, was the best movie I've watched so far this year. Think the other ones would be like Marriage Story, Interstellar, and Mr. Mom. Be the other ones up there. Maybe Magnolia. Maybe. Not sure. So I'll probably finish my Paul Thomas Anderson run at some point and then tier rank his movies. Not tier rank. I'll probably just rank them straight up. There's only 9. Do them in order. And then, we're going to, at some point this year, we'll do the Tarantino ranking. But when I get on my Tarantino run, it'll be the only thing I watch. I'll probably just watch all his movies in the span of like 2 weeks. So I don't want to do that. The other night I rewatched Pulp Fiction for like the 6th or 7th time in my life. Some of my friends. It never gets old, so I'll rewatch all the Tarantino movies probably within the span of like 2 or 3 weeks. That'll probably be till the summer though. But maybe I'll do the Paul Thomas Anderson and all that. But yeah, 21 Bridges is amazing. Highly recommend. I am kind of doing a Nolan run, but I'm doing all his over a long period of time. So I'll rank those at some point too. So be on the lookout for those. And yeah, thanks for listening to the Source Sports Pod. Hope you enjoyed, and that's it for this one. And I'm not picking the White Sox to win the World Series. Thank the Lord.